Welcome to the webinar this afternoon or early afternoon, wherever you are at around the world. We are so excited that you're here and joining us today. We have the Money Multiplier with Brent Kesler here to give us all the information about his Money Multiplier Method. It's definitely a lot of information, so get all the distractions away, get your pad and paper, and get ready for this awesome presentation that Brent has prepared for us today. He's also going to be doing an ebook giveaway to the first person that emails him after the webinar, so be looking out for that information at the end of the presentation. We also have a small Q&A portion after the presentation, so if you have questions, just write them in the question box to me, and I will get to as many as I can after the presentation. So I'm gonna give it over to Brent and not waste any more precious time. And thanks everybody for being here.
Hey Jamie, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, very good. Well, thank you so much for having me on. And hey everybody, glad to be here. As you see on the home screen there, the name of my company is called the Money Multiplier. We're located down here in Port Orange, Florida, about an hour east of Orlando, next to Daytona Beach. And all my contact information is there. My a good number for texting, our website, www.themoneymultiplier.com, and also my email address, Brent, B-R-E-N-T, Brent@themoneymultiplier.com. So anyway, I'm excited to share with you. I'm going to probably go for about, I don't know, 54 or 55 minutes. I'll save a few minutes for questions. And any questions that I don't get answered, I'll give you access to how I can get those questions answered for you. Also, too, if you send me an email, okay, just send an email to Brent@themoneymultiplier.com, and I will send you the book that I wrote. It's an ebook. And actually it's a hard copy as well, but I'll send you the ebook form of it. It's called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. So I'll talk about that in just a little bit. So anyway, let's get right into it. So the thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about your money and actually how your money works. So I want you to keep an open mind as I go through this information. I'm not going to ask you to buy anything at the end. There's nothing that right, as far as going to ask you to buy, there's nothing I'm selling. Hopefully, if you like this information and you like the concept that I'm going to share with you, if you do decide to do this, hopefully you do it with me. Not that you have to do it with me, but hopefully you will. So, all right. So anyway, the thing we're going to talk about your money, and we're going to talk about how to build, keep, and create wealth through your own debts and expenses that you already have. Now, who am I? As I said earlier, I'm Brent Kesler. I'm actually a chiropractor. That's right. I no longer practice chiropractic anymore. I had some clinics in the Kansas City area. I had actually 4 clinics in the Kansas City area. I sold the last one in 2017. My wife and I became empty nesters. I grew up in Florida, so we moved back to Florida. But believe it or not, my kids followed us back to Florida after we left. So now the whole family is in Florida. My daughter, Hannah, she works with me in this business. My son is our corporate pilot. He flies us all around the country to speak at different events. So actually, I've been speaking on this concept that I'm going to share with you now for 10.5 years. Prior to the pandemic, I was speaking at anywhere from 55 to 70 live events. The pandemic hit, and then everything just went to Zoom and virtual. But now here we are in September of 2022, and things are coming back for live events. And speaking of live events, you guys have to get to the RAL in Arizona, to that conference in Arizona. I will be speaking there on Saturday at that event in Arizona, and I hear it's going to be a huge, huge event. Hundreds of people are going to be attending. I've been there before, and I'm just telling you, it is an event that you want to get to. So if you can get down to Phoenix, Arizona at the end of this month, I think Saturday, October 1st is when I actually speak. So, all right, let's get into it. Anyway, as you see there on the screen, so this concept that I'm going to share with you, I first learned about this at a conference. I was actually at a chiropractic seminar, and I heard somebody talk about this thing called the banking concept. And it looked pretty good, but it just seemed too good to be true, right? Have you guys ever seen something like that where it looks good, but it's just seems too good to be true. Well, that was me. I heard this information in 2006. I did nothing with it. I left that conference, went home, went back to my normal chiropractic life, did nothing. I go back to another conference about 2 years later, and about 10 or 12 of my colleagues that were at the previous conference, they were at this conference. Now, the only thing different about them and me is they implemented the information that they heard. There was about 10 or 12 of them. They were coming up to me, basically throwing up all over me and saying, Brent, isn't this banking concept the most powerful thing ever to build, keep, and create wealth? And I thought to myself, right? So they were telling me about it and they were going on and on about it, but I wasn't doing it. So I thought to myself, there has to be something to this information. There's no way that 10 or 12 of my colleagues could be lying to me, right? Maybe 1 or 2, but not 10 or 12. So I went home, and it was in February of 2008. And I told my wife, I said, honey, I said, we have to start implementing this concept in our life. And at that time, I was $984,711 in debt. That's what I owed to the third-party creditors. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how does a guy from Kansas get to be almost $1 million of debt, right? I know if you live somewhere like in California, that buys you a very small house, but in Kansas, it buys you a lot. Well, I had the house that I lived in that I owed on. I had my chiropractic clinic. I had my student loans. I also had a house on the Lake of the Ozarks between St. Louis and Kansas City. That's where I'm coming to you from today. And obviously, if you have a house on the lake, guess what else you have to have? A boat and a wave runner, right? Yeah, absolutely. You can't have a house on the lake without a boat and a wave runner. I'm also an airplane pilot. So as an airplane pilot, I had to have my own airplane. Well, it didn't take me a lot to become almost $1 million in debt. Well, I was able to take this one simple step that I'm going to share with you today, and I was able to pay all of that debt off, $984,711 of third-party debt in 39 months. 3 years and 3 months. I never had to work any harder, change my cash flow, take any additional risk, or lose control. All I did was added one step in my financial life. And that's what I'm going to go over with you today. Now, the information that I'm sharing with you, again, I didn't invent it. I didn't create it. I got a hold of this book called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. This is a book, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that totally changed my financial life. This is a book that you want to add to your wealth building library. All right. It's called Becoming Your Own Banker. You can go out on Amazon and buy the book. I'm not here to sell you the book. You can go on our website and order it from our website as well. But again, it's definitely a book that you want to have in your financial library. And if you're like me and have a little ADD going on and don't really like to read, there's also 2 hours of audio that go with it. So definitely a book you want to add. And also, I wrote a book a couple years ago called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. Me and a colleague of mine, Chris Naugle. A lot of you guys may have heard of Chris Naugle, especially if you're in the real estate world. Chris Naugle has had a couple shows on HGTV. He had one on House Hunters. One show was called Risky Builders. So Chris is very active in the real estate world. So Chris wrote this book with me. If you're not following Chris Naugle, do so. Go to chrisnaugle.com, N-A-U-G-L-E, chrisnaugle.com. Watch everything Chris is teaching on this concept in money. Chris does a Wealth Wednesday webinar every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. He does another segment called Ask Me Anything, where people just rapid fire questions. He does that at 4:30 Eastern Time every Wednesday. So you want to follow Chris. Now, also on that book, okay, I will actually email you the ebook. Just send me an email, brent@themoneymultiplier.com, and I will send you the ebook. Now, just to be clear of what I'm going to be talking about for about the next 52 minutes. That's right. I'm going to talk about money. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the method of money. I'm going to show you before I end today how you're going to be able to get all the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. So what does that mean, get the money back for the car? Well, I don't even know you guys that are on this call, right? But I know how you buy a car. You buy a car one of 3 ways. You either bank finance the car, you pay cash for the car, or you lease the car, yeah? So, because I know you guys are all honest and you didn't steal the car because you look honest. Well, maybe a couple of you look a little shady, but most of you look pretty honest. So, the thing you had to do when you bought the car, you had to give the car dealer the money. So, he's got the money and you get the car, right? The transaction is over. Everybody walks away happy. But what if there's a way by adding one simple step in your financial life, how not only can you buy the car the same way you did before, you gave the cash to the car dealer gives you the cash, so they have the money, you get the car. But now by adding one step, you're able to recycle and recapture that money, and that money stays in your family. I'm going to show you how to do that. And guess what? If you can do that with a car, guess what else you can do it with? Any product or service that you buy. A boat, a bicycle, a big screen TV, a chandelier, a piano, a kitchen table, a cell phone, a house, right? You guys into houses? Anything, a vacation, your taxes, your charitable giving. That's right. You can recycle and recapture all of the money that's been going out. Now, the next thing on the screen is a video that's 7 minutes long that I am not going to play because I only have so much time. But here's part of your homework. When we're done, I want you to go to YouTube and I want you to click on the backward bicycle. The backward bicycle, and this is the video that's going to come up. I'm going to play like 3 seconds of it.
Hey, it's me, Destin. Welcome back to Smarter Every Day. You've heard people say it's just like riding a bike.
Okay, go watch that video. After you watch it, you'll know why I asked you to watch it. Because what I'm going to share with you today is a paradigm shift about money. It's not what your parents taught you or your grandparents. It's not what your friends, your colleagues, and your coworkers are doing, right? So I'm going to share things about money that you've been taught money before. So I want you to keep an open mind as I go through this, okay? So just keep an open mind as I go through. Now, there's a guy named Will Rogers, and here's what Will Rogers says. Will Rogers says, the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know, it's what people think they know that just ain't so. So a lot of the things that you've been taught about money may not actually be the truth. We're going to talk about how does your money flow and the method to get all of your money back for every purchase that you make. But in order for us to do that, we have to agree on what the definition of money is. So if I ask you to tell me the definition of money, you guys would give me a bunch of different answers. But all money is a mean not. That's all we do with money is exchange it for products and services. In other words, we take money, we buy food, right? We get food for money, they get the money. Car for money, money for car, house for money, money for house. That's all money is a means of exchange. So that's going to be our definition. We'll talk about the mysteries of money, the machine. Pretty soon, I'm going to show you what that machine is that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth, and it's going to surprise some of you. We'll talk about the mission, the marathon. This is not a sprint, not a get-rich-quick deal, right? This is one simple step that you want to add to your financial life. I don't want you to change anything. I don't want you to change your cash flow. I don't want you to work any harder. I don't want you to take any additional risk or lose control of your money. We're just adding one step to your financial life. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, the millionaire and the movement. All right, I have 3 calculators on the screen, okay? And I'm gonna make believe that I am your banker at your local bank, wherever you live, Florida, Arizona, Texas, Missouri. You have your money in a bank, in a checking or a savings account. I'm going to make believe that you have $25,000 in your checking account, and I'm going to be your banker at that local bank. So we'll just call me Banker Brent, okay? Now that $25,000 that you have in the account is paying you 4% interest. Right, I know the bank's not paying you 4% interest, but I'm going to make believe that you found a really, really good bank, and that bank is paying you 4% interest on your money. Now you're in the market to buy a car, and that car is going to cost you $25,000. So guess what you do? You walk into the bank and say, Brent, I want to take the $25,000 out of the bank that's paying me 4%, and I want to go pay cash for the car. All right? And I say, no, 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 no. You do not want to take the $25,000 out of the bank earning 4% and pay cash for the car. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a $25,000 loan, and I'm going to charge you a 6% interest rate for that loan. All right. Now, if we go to a bank and we borrow $25,000 to buy a car, how long are we normally going to finance that car for? Most of you say 5 years or 60 months, and that's what we're going to go with. It doesn't matter if it's 4 years or 48 months or 6 years or 72 months. I want you to get the concept here. So here's what I'm saying to you is I'm saying to keep your $25,000 over here in the bank earning 4%. I'm going to make you a loan of $25,000 and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same equal time period, in this case, 5 years or 60 months, our bank will pay you more money on the 4% that you're earning than you will pay us on the 6% that you're borrowing. Now, is that a true statement? In other words, is it possible for you to make more money earning 4% at the same time you're paying 6% over the same equal time period? And you guys are shaking your head no. The same thing I did when I sat and watched this for the first time in 2006. Because if I borrow at 6 and I'm only earning 4, I'm losing 2%, right? That's the way our mind works. Well, the banker told you the truth, and let's walk through that. So if you take out a $25,000 loan at 6% for 5 years or 60 months, your monthly payment is $483.32 times 60. So that means over the course of 5 years, you're going to pay $29,000 for that car. You're going to pay $25,000 in principal and $4,000 in interest. All right, are you with me? Now, I told you to leave $25,000 in the bank earning 4 while we were doing all this over the next 5 years or 60 months. So if I leave $25,000 in the bank and it's earning 4% in 5 years or 60 months, I will have in that account $30,525. Now, here's my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Is that number of $30,525 a larger number than $28,999? Or do you do math differently than I do in Florida? Exactly. It is a larger number. Well, how can that be? How can you have more money over the same time period earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6? Well, here's what's happening. The car payment, the car balance is going down. It is on a decreasing balance. The money that I told you to leave in the account is going up. So one goes down and the other one goes up. But that's not the way our minds are programmed to think. We think if we earn 4 and pay 6, we're losing 2. We have to start learning how money works. Now, all I wanted to do with this exercise is prove to you that you can make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6. All right? Now, why is that important? Well, there is a method to my madness, and let's talk about the machine that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth in your family. Are you ready? Here it comes. A lot of you are going to be surprised. The machine that we're going to use is a whole life insurance policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Now, I wish you could be sitting where I'm at right now and look at all of your faces. You guys are sitting there like, what? A whole life insurance policy? Why on earth would I ever want to use a whole life insurance policy to build, keep, and create wealth? A lot of you are thinking you know everything there is to know about whole life insurance policies, and that would not be a good place to put your money and build wealth. Well, let me just tell you, you do not know everything there is to know, because if you did, you would implement this strategy in your life. You see, this concept is not brand new. No. It's been around for over 200 years. This is what the wealthy do to build, keep, and create wealth. As a matter of fact, why do you think we would ever want to use a whole life policy to build, keep, and create wealth? You give me a lot of different answers, but the answer is because this is what the rich do. This is what the wealthy do. As a matter of fact, the number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. That's right. Conventional banks own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. And since the year 2013, which is a little less than 10 years ago, conventional banks have quadrupled the amount of whole life insurance they have purchased. Now, why do you think banks are buying so much in whole life insurance? Is it because they're stupid, or they know something the rest of us don't know? That's right. They know something the rest of us don't know. So all we're going to do is we're going to mimic and imitate what the wealthy have been doing for over 200 years. I'm not reinventing the wheel. Go look up the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Barclays. Go look and see how they built, kept, and created wealth. Go look up and see how Walt Disney built Disneyland. Go look and see how Ray Kroc was able to fund McDonald's. Go look and see how Pampered Chef got started before Warren Buffett bought Pampered Chef. So all we're going to do is we're going to mimic and imitate exactly what the wealthy have been doing. Now, how can you be assured that banks are the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance in the world? Don't take my word for it. No. Go Google something called BOLI, B-O-L-I, which stands for bank-owned life insurance. You will see the hundreds of pages that come up on how much life insurance conventional banks actually own, right? So we're just going to mimic and imitate what the wealthy have been doing for over 200 years. Now, why is the 4 and the 6% important? Well, here's why. Because inside of your policy, the guaranteed growth rate with the dividends is 4% or greater. That's right. The guaranteed growth rate with dividends is 4% or greater. And just what that means is when you put money into the policy, that money is compounding and growing inside of the policy at all times. Now, the highest interest rate the insurance company will charge you to take a loan is 6%. That's right. So you could put money into a policy. You could go to the insurance company and take a policy loan. At the highest rate, it'll be 6%. I don't have any companies that charge more than 5%, but I like my numbers on the screen to be way worse than the way it works actually in real life. I like to under promise and over deliver. So can you make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6? Absolutely. Now, also get this. Whenever you take a loan from the insurance company, you are not borrowing your money from the policy. No, you're simply putting your policy up for collateral, and you're taking a loan from the general fund of the insurance company. Why is that important? And what does that mean? That means all the money that you have put into the policy is growing and compounding at that guaranteed growth rate plus dividends, tax-free, even though you're using money. So there's no interruption of compound interest. That is absolutely huge. All right, so let's move on. Now, can we make money earning 4 while paying 6? Absolutely. The definition of money we already talked about is a means of exchange. What's the purpose of money? To buy everything you're buying in life right now, right? All money is a means of exchange. Whatever we're buying, a house, a car, a pack of chewing gum, a computer, whatever it is, we exchange money. Now, let me ask you this. Who believes in compound interest? A lot of you guys raise your hand, you believe in compound interest. You've been taught compound interest is a great thing, yes? Well, let's talk about compound interest for a minute. The only way compound interest works is your money or your product has to sit still, right? So I have a $20 bill in my hand. If I want this $20 bill to compound, what do I have to do with it? I have to take it down to the bank. I put it into the bank, and that money has to sit there in order to earn interest. If I go back and get that $20 bill out of the bank, it's no longer earning interest, is it? So the money has to sit still. Well, motion is a natural law of God, is it not? Everything is in motion. My lips are moving, my eyes are moving. You know, I ate some lunch, so the food is moving through my body. The birds are flying, the cars are driving. I'm at the lake, so the boats are driving up and down. Everything is in motion, yeah? So compounding stops the motion, does it not? Well, we've all been taught compounding is a good thing. And a lot of you guys probably have money in a 401k, an IRA, or a qualified plan. So what you do is you take your dollars, you give it to them today, and you leave it in that plan. So you stop the motion of money because you're letting your money compound, right? So we've all been taught compounding is a great thing. But let me ask you this question. Name me one business in the world. I don't care what business it is. Name me one business in the world that actually uses compound interest. Now, you give me a bunch of different answers, but the one you always commonly give me is banks. You say, Brent, banks use compound interest. So let's think about that. Do banks use compound interest? No, they pay you compound interest and they charge you compound interest, but they don't use it themselves. And here's what I mean. If I took this $20 bill, I put my initials on it, highlighted it in yellow, and I took it down to the bank. Does the bank take that $20 bill? Do they take it to the back room? And there's a little box there that says Brent Kesler, and that's where they put the money until I come back and get it? No. As a matter of fact, if I go try to get this $20 bill out in a week, are they going to give me the same $20 bill? Nope. What about an hour, a half an hour, 15 minutes? No, they're not going to give me the same $20 bill back. Why aren't they going to give me the same $20 bill back? Because they're moving it. They're keeping it in motion. Let me ask you this. How much money does a grocery store make if groceries are compounding on the shelf and sitting and not moving? Zero. How much money does a car dealer make if cars are not moving off the lot? Zero. How much money does the airlines make if nobody's flying? How much money does the hotel make if nobody's checking in and checking out? How much do you make in the real estate business if things aren't in motion? Zero, zero, zero. So not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. But isn't it a little bit strange that all of the stock companies, the mutual companies, the insurance companies, they all tell us to park our money with them and leave it sit still, but they don't do it themselves. If it was such a good idea to let your money sit and compound, why aren't they doing it? I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. A lot of you guys have an IRA or 401k, right? Why do you have an IRA or 401k? Well, it's because what your parents taught you to do with money. It's what your grandparents taught you. It's what your friends, colleagues, and coworkers are doing with money. So you're doing what they do. Because the reason you're putting your money in an IRA, a 401k, a qualified plan is because you want to get more money down the road later, right? Well, let me ask you, is that 401k, IRA, qualified plan guaranteed? Are there any guarantees that that money is going to be there when you go out and get it? No. Well, yeah, there is actually one. It's guaranteed to never go below zero, but how exciting would that be if that actually happened? Wouldn't that totally suck? Absolutely. Who's controlling that money? Is it you or somebody else? That's right. Somebody else is controlling it, right? And how long do you have to wait to access that money without paying the penalty? That's right, age 59 and a half. So if you're, if you're 40 years old today, you still got almost another 20 years to wait to get that money out without paying the penalty. Now, the tax is always going to be there on the money. So no matter when you go get the money out, it's going to be taxed. I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. So there's no guarantees. Somebody else is controlling it. Oh, let me ask you this. I want you to tell me everything you know about your 401k, IRA, or qualified plan. Tell me everything you know. Wait, hang on. I'll tell you what you know. Here's what you know. You know if that money goes up or down based on the quarterly statement that you get, and you may know if it's if those dollars are invested in a low, moderate, or high risk category. But other than that, you guys don't know crap about that 401k, IRA, or qualified plan, and it has no guarantees. And let me ask you this. Right now, we're in, let's see, I guess we're in September of 2022. How has that qualified plan been performing for you in the last 9.5 months since the beginning of the year? That's right. That's what I thought. It's down. So I just want you to think about what's going on with your money. Now, I want to ask you a few questions. Number one, is a dollar worth more today or in the future? It's worth more today. And if you ever forget that, think about how many candy bars you could buy 20 years ago for $1, how many you can buy today. Number two, are taxes going to go up or go down? They're going to go up. The history has been that taxes continue to go up. And even if taxes don't go up, aren't we taxed on more stuff all the time? Exactly right. Number 3, if you have a choice to pay tax on the small amount or the big amount, the seed or the harvest, which one would you rather pay tax on? That's right, the seed. I agree with all 3 of those answers, but you are violating all of those answers by putting your money in a 401k, IRA, or qualified plan, because what you're doing is you're giving up good dollars today to get paid back with non-guaranteed weaker dollars in the future. You're compounding your tax because your tax is always going to go up. And when you do pay tax, you're going to pay it on the harvest, the large amount, instead of the small amount. I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. Now, last thing on this. You told me money is a means of exchange, right? That means food is money, money is food, car is money, money is car, house is money, money is house. Let's say we go to the store today after we get done today with this call. Let's say we go to the store and we buy a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. Are you going to wait 10, 15, 20 years to eat that bread or drink that milk? That would be crazy, wouldn't it? How about if we go buy a car or a house today? Are you going to wait 10, 15, 20 years to drive the car or move in the house? Absolutely not. That would be ridiculous. So why are you doing that with your money? See, people do things with money that they would never do with things that money buys. You would never buy a loaf of bread, bring it home and put it in the freezer and wait 10, 15, 20 years to eat it, but you'll put money in a qualified plan, a 401k, a retirement account that has absolutely no guarantees, and you'll wait years and years and years to use that money. All right. Oh, but guess what you tell me? You say, Brent, but I have one of those great 401ks, qualified plans. I get a match. Okay, let's go with your theory and say that you get a match. Now, I don't see how you can get a match or how the match can be guaranteed if the principal isn't guaranteed. But let's go with your theory and say you get a one-to-one match. So food is money, money is food. So that means, let's say if you're like age 40, you're going to continue to put money in a retirement account for the next 20 years and you get a match, right? Well, there's no guarantees that money's going to be there, but let's just assume. So now what we do is we go buy a loaf of bread. We bring the bread home, we put it in the freezer, and guess what happens? 20 years later, we open up the freezer, and guess what's in the freezer? 2 loaves of bread, because you got a match. How much better is that second loaf of bread going to taste? That's right, it will still be freezer burn. Okay, just trying to get you to think about what's going on. Last thing I'll say before I move on, I want you to think about this question, and I want you to answer it in your head right now. How many people do you know at retirement age? Now, you all know people at retirement age. How many people have you met in your life, and it could even be you, how many people have you met at retirement age that are totally happy, ecstatic, elated, joyful, delighted, excited about how their retirement plan has performed for them? Probably not many of you, if any, very few, because every one of you that are listening right now, you all know people at retirement age that are working, that are out in the workforce at retirement age, not because they want to be working, because they have to be working, because their retirement plan did not perform the way that it was expected. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about how a bank works. This is how a bank works. This is how your bank works, okay? I'm going to say that you have $100,000 of your money. Don't worry about the amount. It could be $1,000, $1, or $1 million. But what you do is you take that money and you put it into the bank. That's what you do. Every time you get a paycheck or anytime you get any income, investment income, passive income, investment income, a paycheck, it could be a birthday check from grandma in the mail. You take that money and you put it into the bank of wherever you live. The Bank of Texas, Bank of Arizona, Bank of Florida. You put that money into the bank. Now, the bank is going to pay you 4% interest. I know they're not, but I'm going to make believe you found a really good bank that's paying you 4% interest on your money. Every time you put that money into the bank, that money becomes a liability to the bank because they owe you interest, do they not? So how does the bank take your money and turn it into an asset? They loan it out. That's what banks do. They loan money. They're in the lending business. So isn't that kind of strange? A loan is an asset to a bank. But every time we think of a loan, guess what we think of it as? A debt, a payment, an expense, a liability. We have to start thinking of loans as assets. Now, how many of you, after you put the money in the bank, just like myself, how many of you have ever went to a bank to borrow money to buy a house? Yeah. So you go down to the bank after you deposit your money and you go, hey, Mr. Banker, I want to now borrow money to buy a house. Now I'm going to call the interest rate 7% on the house. It could be lower, it could be higher. Don't get hung up on the numbers. I want you to get the concept. Whenever you borrow money from a bank to buy a house, are you expected to pay the bank back with interest? Absolutely you are. So who's in control of that transaction? The bank. All right. How about a car? Have you ever went to a bank, okay, just to borrow money to buy a car? Absolutely. We'll call that 8%. If you borrow money from a bank to buy a car, are you expected to pay them back with interest? Absolutely. So who's in control of that transaction? The bank. All right. How about a house remodel? You want a new swimming pool, granite countertops, a debt. You go out and get a home equity loan or something. We'll just call it 9%. If you borrow money from the bank, you got to pay them back with interest. So are you seeing what's happening here? All money is it goes into the bank, it goes in the bank, goes out, in, out, in, out. That money is constantly in motion. That's why that same $20 bill is no longer there when I go back and get it. All money is doing is moving. Finally, let's do a debt consolidation loan, pay off all the credit cards. We'll call that 12%. That money has to go back in the banking system. So who's in control of every one of these transactions? The bank. Now, let's see how well you did and how well the bank did. Remember, I said you found a really good bank. The bank is paying you 4% interest on your money. So what you did is you went and you bought a house and you borrowed money from the bank, and the bank's charging you 7 and you made 4. So the bank made 7 and you made 4. How much more did they make? 7 minus 4 is 3. Let's move over to the car. The bank made 8, you made 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. The bank made 4% more than you. The home remodel, 9 minus 4 is 5, and 12 minus 4 is 8. So look at this. The bank made 20% and you made 4. The bank made 20 and you made 4. How much more did the bank make than you? 20 minus 4, you guys say 16, right? Close. What about 500% more than you is what the bank made? Because look at this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you made $4 or 4% and the bank made $20 or 20%, didn't the bank make 5 times more than you made? That's right. Banks are making between 400 and 1,300% annually on the money that you leave there each and every year. That's right. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Brent, I hear you flapping your gums and moving your lips. How do I really know that's true? Well, what you can do is you can go get this report. It's BauerFinancial.com, B-A-U-E-R, BauerFinancial.com. You can look up any year that you want, last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and you can get the annual report from that bank, and you will see banks make no less than 400% annually on the money you leave there. Now, I've been teaching this for about 10 and a half years, and every presentation I do, I ask you, I challenge you, go find me a bank that makes less than 400% annually on the money that is sitting in the bank, and bring it to me, and I'll change my presentation and give you credit that I changed it. You won't be able to find it because nobody's found it, but maybe you'll be the first. So look, who's in control of every one of these transactions? The bank, right? So how much risk did the bank take to do all of this? Not really any, because whose money did they use? They used your money. Now, I will agree, interest rate offsets risk. So the higher risk that you are as a borrower, the higher interest rate you are going to have to pay. But if you're too high of a risk, is the bank going to lend you the money anyway? No. So all I want you guys to do is to become the banker in your own life. That's all we're doing. All you're doing is becoming the bank in your life, because you all are doing this stuff that I'm showing you on this screen right now, or have been, or will be in the future. You're buying houses, you're buying cars, you're doing house remodels, and you're using credit cards. Who is getting all of your money? The bank. So you need to take that place. Okay, let's move on. There's my resource, BauerFinancial.com. Go look up any bank that you want. Find me a bank that makes less than 400% annually on the money you leave there and share it with me. And I'll change my presentation. Okay, I'm going to skip through a couple things, but I'm going to show you anything I skip, how you can watch it. Now, here's the fun stuff. I'm going to show you now how to get all the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. So what that means is not only do you buy the car, but you get the money back. Now, you're probably thinking, Brent, why are you showing me this on cars? You know, this is RAL. You know, let's talk about, like residential assisted living or real estate. You know, why cars? Well, because I talk to all different kind of groups, and cars are common, because I bet every one of you on this call right now has either owned a car, driven a car, or ridden in a car, right? So, and if you, and you're probably eventually, if you haven't, you'll eventually own a car. So what I'm going to do is show you how to get all the money back on the car, and you can take this same principle and apply it to any product or service in your life that you're buying. Remember, what was the machine that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth? Well, the machine is a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. That is the machine. So in that machine, we pay premium. Now, whenever we pay premium to an insurance company, yes, it's a payment. You're writing a check and you're sending a check to the insurance company. But if it goes into an account that you control, is it treated more like a payment or a deposit? And you have instant access to cash. And I say instant access within the first 30 days. Is it treated more as a payment or a deposit? That's right. It's treated more as a deposit. And what word do you like better, payment or deposit? Yes, deposit. And have you ever made too many deposits in your bank account? Never. Age doesn't matter, and the death benefit doesn't matter. So we're not going to talk about age, and we're not going to talk about death benefit. Let's blow this screen up a little bit. We're going to talk about the cash value in the policy. That's why we're meeting here today. We're not meeting to talk about life insurance or death benefit. That is just the vehicle that we're going to use. That is the machine that we're going to use to build and create wealth. So all we're doing today is talking about the cash value. So there's a lot of numbers on this chart, a lot of columns. So let me explain them to you. On the left is all it is time. It's year 1 to 8, year 9 to 13. And then the next column, you have age. It doesn't matter what the age is. It could be an older age or a younger age. And then on the very last column, you have death benefit. Okay. So the age and the death benefit don't matter. Okay. All we're focusing on is cash. So for example, in this policy, this person is putting in $10,000 a year into the policy. Don't get wrapped up on how much to put in. If that number is too big, put in a lower number. If it's too low, put in a higher number. You decide the amount of premium that you want to put in the policy. I'm not going to make that decision. Okay. Now, the older you are, and I'm just going to assume everybody's in equal health, but the older you are putting in $10,000 a year into the policy, you have less death benefit. The younger you are, you have more death benefit. But the cash value is the same. It doesn't matter about your age. The only thing that changes is the death benefit with age and health. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own. Now, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about where you're at right now in your life. Okay? The car that you're driving today, is that the very first car that you ever bought, driven, and owned? No. Probably not, unless you're 16 or 18. Are you going to continue to go through life and buy, drive, and own cars? Absolutely you are. You're going to continue to buy, drive, and own cars. Out of all of the cars you ever bought up to this point in your life, how much of the money do you have today? The answer is zero. So if I show you nothing else how to get the car and the money, would that be pretty cool? Let's walk through it. In this example, we're putting in $10,000 a year for the first 7 years. And at the end of the third year, beginning of the fourth year, we're going to borrow $25,000 out of the policy to go buy a car. Now, in real life, I would never, ever have you wait to the end of the third year, beginning of the fourth year to use the cash. I want you to use the cash immediately. And my definition of immediately is within the first 30 days. But in this case, we're going to wait. Just know this, the sooner you use the cash, the sooner you play honest banker with yourself, the numbers are only going to get bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to go buy a $25,000 car, and we're going to pay ourselves back just like we would pay a bank back. So if you went to a bank to borrow $25,000 to buy a car, are you expected to pay the bank back with interest? Absolutely you are. So do you think it's a good idea that you pay yourself back with interest? Well, you should, but do you ever do it? No, you never do it. From this point on, whenever you borrow money from yourself, you need to treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money and pay yourself back with interest. Because if you don't, you're saying your money is not as valuable as the bank's money. So in this example, we're going to borrow $25,000 and we're going to pay ourselves back with interest, $500 a month or $6,000 a year for 5 years, a total of $30,000. So we borrow 25, pay back 30. Now, I want you to look at year 1 to 8. How much have we put into this policy in 8 years? Well, we put in 10 times 7 is 70, paid back 6 times 5 is 30 for a total of 100. But we took out $25,000 to buy the car. So if I put in 100 and took out 25, put in 100 and took out 25, how much more did I put in than I took out? 75,000. That's right. So 75,000 is your true net injection. How much money in cash value in year 8 do we have in this policy? 73,226. So if you take 73,226, divide it by 75,000, which is your net injection, that means you just got back 96 cents of every dollar for that very first car that you bought. How would you like to have 96 cents of every dollar for every car that you buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing? No, man. All I did is I bought a stupid life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the car. See, you're going to buy the car anyway. We're just adding one step. Watch this. That car wears out. I want you to look at year 9 to 13. Only focus on 9 to 13. We go buy another $25,000 car. Where did that money come from? The cash value in year 8 of $73,000. We bought the car. I no longer am paying premium into the policy in this example. All I'm going to do is pay myself back for that car just like I did the first year. $500 a month, $6,000 a year for 5 years. So I want you to look again at year 9 to 13. How much did we take out of the policy? 25 to buy the car. How much did we put back? A total of 30. So if we took out 25, put back 30. Took out 25, put back 30. How much more did we put back than we took out? $5,000 is our net injection. Look at the cash value. The cash value grew from 73 to 95. That is a $22,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How do you like buying cars my way? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing? No, man. All I did is I bought a stupid ass life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the cars. You are going to buy the car anyway. Now, I know what a couple of you are thinking. You're thinking, Brent, that wasn't very nice. Why did you use the word ass? Because see, I can see all of you, and there was a couple of you that were washing the dishes, another one's walking the dog, and then the other one's burping the baby. But the word ass just brought you right back to the computer screen, and now you're back with me. I don't know what it is. There's something about that word that brings your attention right back to me. So thanks for that. Now watch this. Watch and see what we did in 13 years. Now, how fast is 13 years gone in your life? Well, I can tell you it goes pretty fast. I just turned 55 years old last week, and it feels just like yesterday I was 42, right? So 13 years goes by pretty quick. Watch what we did here. Watch what we did in 13 years. We put in 10 times 7 is 70, 6 times 5 is 30 for a total of 100,000 in the first 8 years. And then in year 9 to 13, we put in 6 times 5 is 30 for a total of $130,000. That's what we put in. But we bought 2 cars, didn't we? We bought a car in year 4 and a car in year 9. So that's $50,000, 25 for each car. So if I put in 130 and took out 50, put in 130 and took out 50, how much is my injection? Well, 130 minus 50 is $80,000. How much do I have in year 13 cash value of the policy? 95,000. Well, wait a minute, Brent. Are you telling me I put in 130, I took out 50, so my net injection is 80, and here I am in the 13th year in cash value, I'm sitting on 95,000? That is exactly what I'm telling you. And if that's true, which it is, how much money, how much did those cars cost you to buy, drive, and own? Well, the way my simple mind works is zero. Because if you injected 80 and you've got 95, you have 15,000 more than your net injection. Now, not only do you have 95,000, guess what else you have? You have 2 cars sitting on the driveway that you've owned, driven, and used, one for 5 years, another one for 10 years. You can sell the car, donate it, give it away, continue to drive it, do whatever you want to with it, right? Now, I know in our minds we think this costs us nothing, but I can't sit here and tell you it cost you nothing because you had to start the policy. You had to start the concept. So go back up to year one. Go back to year one. When you put in 10,000 in the first year, all 10,000 was not available for you to borrow. It's all your money. You just can't borrow all 10,000, but that's okay. Are we in this for the short term or the long term? Now, I know you tell me long term, but we tend to get hung up in short term thinking. Have you ever read a book by Rick Warren called A Purpose Driven Life? In that book, Rick Warren says, life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter where you start, it only matters how you finish, and this is the game of life. So, did I just show you how to get all the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life? Now, let's say this wasn't a $25,000 car. Let's say if it was a $50,000 car, and instead of you paying $500 a month or $6,000 a year to yourself, you double it. You're paying $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. What's going to happen to the numbers? It's only going to get bigger. What if mama and daddy has a $50,000 car? What happens to the numbers? They only get bigger. Well, if I can use this for a car, what else can I use it for? A boat, a bicycle, an airplane ticket, a house, groceries, taxes, anything that you're spending money for, you now can not only buy that product and service, have the product and service, but you're also recycling and recapturing all of that money. Every liability now you're turning into an asset. Every depreciating asset you're turning into an appreciating asset. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Kiyosaki? Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Second Chance. This is exactly what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in that book. But when you read it, you read right through it and didn't know what in the heck it meant. Have you ever heard of a guy named Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins wrote a book called Money Master the Game. In chapter 5.4 of that book, this is exactly what Tony Robbins talks about, but you never understood it and they make it too complicated. So this concept is not on trial. It's not being tested. It's been around for over 200 years. All we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy do. Okay, there's 3 rules. Rule number 1, pay yourself first. Rule number 2, pay yourself with interest. Rule number 3, recycle and recapture your money. We'll go through those rules. I'll go through, I'll go through some more of that when I give you the part that you missed. All right. There's 2 additional resources. I've given you 4 resources. I've given you the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. I've also given you the book that I wrote with Chris, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. All you need to do is send me an email, brent@themoneymultiplier.com, and I'll send you that ebook. And here's 2 other books you want to add to your wealth building library, Second Chance and Money Master the Game. Okay, now this next thing I'm not going to go through because I'm almost out of time, but this is called a money multiplier map. Whenever you go through this, and I'm going to show you how to watch this on a recorded version of this, I'm going to show you how to watch this, and you'll know after you see how I paid off $984,711 of debt in 39 months without working harder, changing my cash flow, taking any additional risk, or losing control. Now, if this is exciting to you, and this is something that you think you want to do, then all you do is you email me, or text me, and I'll give you the contact information at the end. You are never going to pay me a dime. Even if you want to start this concept in your life, you are not going to pay me a dime. You see, I'm licensed in every state of the country, and I'm the guy that's going to set up and design the policy for you. So, right, I'm the policy guy. So how do I get paid? I get paid the same way your car insurance guy or gal gets paid. So when you go to John Smith, the Allstate man, to buy car insurance, the check that you write is not to John Smith. You write the check to Allstate, and Allstate pays John Smith a commission. The reason you want to work with me in buying the policy and getting the policy all set up, I work with a handful of insurance companies. All I do is design policies for high cash value and the infinite banking concept. The reason you want to work with me and not your brother-in-law that sells life insurance, right? I know we all have a brother-in-law that sells life insurance, is because your brother-in-law doesn't understand this concept. And if your brother-in-law understood it, why hasn't he told you about it already? All right. So I won't go into that anymore. Let me go here to just a couple slides at the end and give you just a little more info. You're probably thinking, who uses this? Well, this is how the University of Michigan pays their head football coach, Jim Harbaugh. Go to an article, November 16th, 2016. In this article, I actually found the article. I went to ESPN.com on this day, and this article passed up. Well, the reason that they're paying him the salary through the policy is because they are able to recycle and recapture and get the money. So yeah, they pay a salary, they get all of his coaching services, and they're able to get the money back. And if you know anything about college football, until last year, it was a good thing the University of Michigan got the salary back on this guy, because he did not win the games he was supposed to. This is how Disneyland got started. Walt Disney failed in traditional means of financing. He had to provide his own financing by borrowing from his policy, collaterally putting up his policy and taking a loan from the general fund of the insurance company. The same thing with McDonald's. He had to fund a lot of his costs with McDonald's by taking a loan from his policy. Pampered Chef, a lady named Doris Christopher started a business called Pampered Chef in her Chicago home in 1980. She had to borrow $3,000 to start the business. Who knows if she would have ever started it if she couldn't have taken a loan from her policy, but she later sold it to Warren Buffett for $1.5 billion. Joe Biden has no stocks, no bonds, or savings account. As of this writing right here, which was about 8 years ago, June of 2014, Joe Biden owns a total of 6 life insurance policies with a company that I do business with. Stanford University, JCPenney's, it goes on and on. Now that you know this, everybody should be doing this. You should implement this strategy in your life, because if you don't, you're letting money leave your family. You're stealing from your children, your grandchildren, and future generations to come. Look, all we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy do. And here's one of my favorite quotes, and this is how simple it is. If poor people would just start doing what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. How much sense does that make? So keep it simple, don't complicate it. All right, I'm going to skip through this. Now, why are we doing this? A lot of different reasons, but here's one. I want to be a billionaire, so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I... Okay, so if this is something that you think you want to do, reminder, email me, Brent, B-R-E-N-T, Brent at themoneymultiplier.com. I will send you this ebook, and I'll also send you the full recorded presentation. Or what you can do to view the presentation, if you don't want to send me an email or reach out to me, go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com, click on resources and click on presentation. The full presentation is there and the downloadable attachments. It's about an hour and a half long. You can also contact me. There's my texting number, 785-248-9637, or email me, Brent at themoneymultiplier.com. I will answer all of your questions on this concept. We'll do a strategy call. You ask me the questions based on the information, and we'll go over how this concept will work for you. I'm licensed in every state of the country. I have over 6,400 clients in every state of the country. You can go Google my name, Brent Kesler. You can Google Chris Naugle's name. You can go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com. There's 70 plus videos on there. Go out and also I want you to go look at something on TikTok. I want you to go look at Mr. Burr, Mr.B.R.R.R.R. So it's a B and 4 R's. Go follow Devin Burr on TikTok. Devin shows you, he lives out in Phoenix, Arizona. Devin shows you how he uses his policies to fund all of his real estate deals, and he's constantly recycling that money. Go watch that. The other resource, go to the Banking Bros, BROS, the Banking Bros. Follow them on Instagram and TikTok, Jeremiah and Jonah. There's tons of content out there. I'm out of time. If Jamie gives me any time to answer questions, I will. Hopefully, I'll talk to you guys. We'll get your questions answered. If not, hopefully, I'll see you at the RRL event here at the end of the month. So I'll throw it back to you, Jamie.
Awesome. Thanks, Brent. That was amazing. That was a ton of information. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this presentation. I only have a couple questions, but they said that they would email you because we are out of time. So his contact information, Brent, like he said, is right there on the screen for you guys. So if you want to take a quick screenshot, you can do so. And that'll be on the screen for you. And as well, don't forget that ebook that he offered. Don't miss up that opportunity. That'll be amazing. And guys, get your NatCon tickets if you want to meet in person and get more information. We really appreciate you joining us here tonight. And we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks everybody for joining. Brent, you didn't want to add anything else, did you?
No, all good, guys.
Okay, all good?
Yep.
Okay.
So, okay, so in my email, Brent@themoneymultiplier.com. You can also text me at 785-248-9637. I hope to talk to you guys soon. I'm here to serve you. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.